Sorry. We start our last session. I guess we are nearly complete. And I would remind you, please give us back the feedback form. You found it in the package, and it's very important for us what you like, what you didn't like, what we could change, and just give it back. Where do we collect it? I don't. Outside, okay, when you leave the room and you put it on the desk. Thank you very much. And I would like you to welcome Lexi Moore. Lexi is sitting beside me, and she's working for MPN Research Foundation in Chicago, also for the MPN Advocates. Lexi, I guess, is the youngest person in the room. Welcome, Lexi. Thank you very much for being here and for helping us.
Thank you, Werner. Hi, everybody. So this is the last advocacy session that we're having for the day. I'm really excited to be up here to get to speak with everybody. First up, I'd like to introduce Maz from MPN Voice in the United Kingdom, and she's going to talk to us about their peer-to-peer program for support called the Buddy System.
Thank you, Lexi and Werner. Thank you very much. And hello again, everybody. Good morning. Yes, it is still morning. I'm here today to talk to you about the Peer Buddy Support Programme in the UK. And can you hear me now? Is that better? Sorry. How was it started? The MPN Voice Buddy Support Programme was started in 2006 by some members of the steering committee who had identified that there was a need for MPN patients to gain support, help and advice from other MPN patients. And that's quite important. And it's the support that they couldn't get from their healthcare teams, and in many cases they couldn't even get it from their families, their partners, husbands, wives, friends and employers. So they got together with some haematologists, specialist nurses, and some psychologists to talk about this. And also they realised that the support from the haematologists and general practitioners and nurses that is given to patients about their MPN is great. But if they don't have an MPN themselves, they don't actually understand what it feels like to live with an MPN. So the team got together, as I say, with some nurses, haematologists and psychologists from Guy's and St Thomas's, and they drew up a set of guidelines, which I have with me here. And it set out the boundaries of the level of support that a buddy can provide. And the guidelines also included advice on how to establish these boundaries and how to listen to and react to the patient they are supporting, and how to deal with the person who needs more support or is very distressed, more support than a buddy can actually offer. The guidelines also have the support chain, the network chain, that is there for them to go to. So we've got the psychology contact details at Guy's and St Thomas's. We've got Professor Harrison, myself as the lead buddy coordinator, and my two colleagues, Nona Baker and Tamara Costa, who actually did sort of help set this up. And a couple of points I'd just like to very quickly read out from the guidelines. What is a buddy peer supporter, or what is it not? It's not a substitute for diagnosis, treatment, or information from a medical care provider. It is not counselling. And establishing and maintaining boundaries. So set the scene for the person so they know what to expect by stating some facts at the beginning of the conversation. For instance, I have an MPN and I will be listening to you as a fellow patient. I'm not a doctor or a nurse or a counsellor. So that is made quite clear. And also we do say to people to think about why they want to be a buddy. You know, how much are they willing to share of themselves? And if they end up talking about their experiences too much, why are they doing it? Are they doing it for them, or are they really trying to support somebody else? So the guidelines are quite specific in giving them help and support. So as I say, we did get some help and advice from the team in Guy's, and it was a way of establishing what level of support could be offered, and if any training was required, and how a patient would be matched with a buddy, and how they would communicate and report any problems and concerns. And as I say, we do have the support network there for everybody. So recruitment, and how did we start the process? Well, initially the team who dreamt this up actually became the buddies, and we've got John, who is one of our buddies as well, sitting here, and very good one he is as well. And it's true. So we advertised it on our website, so we were telling people what it was all about and how they could either offer support by becoming a buddy, or how they could get support from a buddy, someone to talk to. So we soon had people doing both things, which was really good. It started to take off, and we were very excited. So registering as a buddy to offer support to another MPN patient. So the requirements that we are very, very clear on, and we do not budge on this for anything at all. The person who wants to become a buddy has to have had their MPN diagnosis for a minimum of 2 years. This gives them, a good understanding of what it's like to live with an MPN. And those of us that have got an MPN, it takes a while to get your head around it. So we are very, very rigid on that one. My colleague Nona Baker will not let me move that one at all if I ask her for certain reasons. So, you have the understanding then of the physical and mental impact, and that you found your ways of coping with that, and that you can share that knowledge. It is preferred that a member of our team, the buddy team, meet the person to get to know them, to ask them certain questions, get a feel for whether or not they would be suitable to be a buddy. And many of them we actually know. We meet them at the forums, so they've been to some of our patients' forums or some of our Living with MPNs days. So the team get to talk to them during those days, and again it gives us an idea of where they're coming from in their journey and how they say certain things, and you can pick up very quickly whether or not somebody would be suitable. It's and it's not always possible, though, to meet everybody in person, because some of our buddies live outside of the UK. We've got buddies registered with us who live all across the world. So a member of our team will actually phone them, and it's generally my colleague Nona, who in her proper job outside of MPN Voice is actually a trained family therapist. So she has very good knowledge of finding out things about people and whether or not they're suitable to become a buddy. As I said, they are not trained therapists, psychologists, or counsellors. They don't have to have any counselling skills or any training. They just need to use their experience as an MPN patient and be able to listen, advise, and support. If a patient needs more support than the buddy can offer them, they are advised to go and see their GP, and that does happen. Some people do, the buddies will get back in touch with me and say, look, this person I feel is just way beyond my capabilities, and that is when I will jump in, or Nona or Tamara, and we will advise that person that, they've got to go and see their doctor. So, how do they ask to be a buddy, or how do they ask to have a buddy? And it's not just the newly diagnosed patients who need and ask for a buddy for help and support. It can also be people that have had their diagnosis for many years. Some people have had their diagnosis for 10, 15 years, and they find they want a buddy, and they've been coping very well. But they might get a change in their symptom burden or diagnosis from one MPN to another, or a change in the life circumstance that makes them feel that they're less able to cope, and they feel they need someone to talk to who will understand them. And again, that is very important, understanding them. So to be put in touch with a buddy, they need to fill in a request form, which is part of the guidelines, and they have to give details of their MPN diagnosis, what medication they're on, if they are on any, their hobbies and interests, and how they would like to communicate. So it's either by email or phone. We match the patient with the buddy by this certain criteria, which is the same MPN, the same medication and gender, and where possible, a similar age and any special needs like pregnancy, somebody wanted to become pregnant or is pregnant, or someone having a stem cell transplant, or a young person or a family buddy. So our buddies. We've currently got about, 60 buddies registered with us, and they are located in the UK, Europe, USA, and Hong Kong. And over the years, these buddies have helped quite a few hundred people, so it's really taken off. So what types of buddies have we got? Well, we've got family buddies. So it's not just the patient that needs help and support, and it's not just the patient that can become a buddy. So we offer support to family members and carers, and even friends of somebody that is living and coping with an MPN. So we started to offer that support to these people because we were approached by family members, friends, saying that they were struggling to cope sometimes with the impact that it has on them. And they also wanted advice on ways to help their family member cope with the MPN. So our family buddies are not MPN patients themselves. They are a partner or a carer of someone who has an MPN. So they speak to another family member of somebody who is living with an MPN. So it's just that family support. Young buddies. We have got young people that do need a buddy, and we've got some young buddies registered with us, so we're very lucky in that. When they were diagnosed at a very young age, one of them was 13 years old, and she's done a great job over the years of speaking to lots of people, because being diagnosed at a very young age, it's got a huge mental impact with many, many fears to face. So being able to talk to somebody who has experienced the challenges of having a very serious illness and getting through school, college, university, starting work, it can just be beyond helpful. And then we've got the buddies that will help ladies who are wanting to become pregnant or are pregnant. So our pregnancy buddies, they've been through a pregnancy while having an MPN. So they can give that vital support to somebody who is fearing going through a pregnancy with their MPN, that there's lots of challenges with medications and all sorts of things during the whole pregnancy. So again, our pregnancy buddies are very important to us, and we're lucky to have those as well. And stem cell transplants, more and more people are having these, and they need a lot of support. There are a lot of challenges that they have to face. So we have recruited some buddies that have very successfully, thankfully, had stem cell transplants and have gone through that process and have come out of the other side and are living great lives. So we have helped many people over the years, and it's shown the importance of support and advice from someone who knows what it feels like to live with an MPN. Some of them live across the world, some of our buddies, as do some of the patients that they help. So we're not restricted just to the UK. So contact can be by email, and of course we've got Skype and FaceTime, so it really is enabling people to be put together. So people are getting support in their most difficult and distressing journey, and it's making them feel less isolated. It really does work. I do have some of the guidelines with me, and we are very happy at MPN Voice to share these guidelines with you and the request forms that you can use and adapt to suit your organisation, and to give you any help and support and advice that we can if you want to set up something similar. Myself or John can give the information, or we can put you in touch with a member of the buddy team. And as I say, I have got a couple of the forms here today, so if anybody would like them, just please do ask. Okay, you would like what, a buddy or a form?
No, form.
A form. And that's it. So thank you very much indeed for listening.
Thank you, Maz. And I'd like to open it up for questions, but first I would just like to say thank you to you and to John and your organization for putting together a program like this. We know how important it is for patients to be able to have someone to speak to because of how isolating it can be. And so I just want to commend you on your great work doing that. It's important.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Oh, somebody in the back?
I just want to say congratulations. I think that's an amazing program. This is my second cancer. This is my second cancer, and the first one, I had a program available to me like this. It was called Peer-to-Peer with the Canadian Cancer Society, and it helped me to go through it. So I think you guys have done an amazing job. I'm so proud of you. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Now it's.
Thank you very much for those comments. We appreciate that, and we will take that back to the rest of the team, won't we, John? But thank you.
Thank you for everybody's complimentary remarks. The one thing I would add, and this is now coming as a buddy, I haven't actually done it that many times. I think it's 3, maybe 4 times. But my reflection on having been a buddy is, firstly, it's made me a much, much better advocate. Because you get to have a sometimes quite intimate conversation with patients who, even though technically they're, as Maz has pointed out, are kind of on a level with you from the point of view of their condition and their age, etc., but actually have a very, very different experience often. And hearing that different perspective from different people has really enriched my understanding of the illness, of being a patient, of having cancer, of all sorts of things that I didn't actually know before I'd had those conversations. However much you read, however much you sit in conferences like this, you don't really understand it as well as when you have those conversations. So, as well as obviously it being a massive benefit to the patient community, it's a massive benefit to you as advocates to engage with your patients at this kind of level. And I'm sure a lot of you will be thinking that would be a great thing to have if you don't have it already, but add that to your list of reasons for doing it.
All right, I saw Michelle, and then I also saw David raise their hands. So Michelle, would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm sure the other advocates are interested in the kind of infrastructure that it takes to support this, like office space or database to manage and track all the buddies. Can you talk about that, Maz?
Yes, I can. As I said, we have the support of the team in Guy's and St Thomas's, the psychology team, Claire and the nurses, and then the other buddy coordinators, one of whom, as I've said, is a trained counsellor. So we have that network there. And I am now the lead buddy coordinator, but I am not based in Guy's and St Thomas's. Because of the wonders of technology, I actually do all of this from my office in my home, which is wonderful. So, yes, I can sit and look at Dartmoor out of the window while I'm working. I didn't say So all the information is kept on my computer, all the database, etc. So it's all completely confidential. Everything is, all the buddies understand that it is all completely confidential. They're not allowed to share it or talk about it with any of their family members. It is just between them and the patient. And likewise, everything is kept confidential on my computer, my database. It is not shared with anybody at all. The basic information goes to the buddy. They don't see the application form from the patient, so they are just given the very basics. They're given the name, the telephone number or the email address, and what diagnosis they have. It is then up to the patient and the buddy to share any further information. So does that answer your question, Michelle? Thank you.
David?
Yes, so I have had this thought in mind before, and I think what you're doing is fabulous. Great program. I can't tip my hat more to you guys for doing that. What I was wondering is, what kind of time commitment, if I were to bring on someone to help me, would be expected to run this sort of program? Could one person do it, and if so, maybe how many hours a week?
To actually to administer the program, sort of putting people together, doing
Yes.
the paperwork, etc. Well, I am in main control of that, so depending on how many requests we get a week, possibly a couple of hours a week to sort of sort through the forms, the requests, and then matching people up, putting them in touch with each other. So probably a couple of hours a week, but you do need a support network behind you as well, people that I can go to. I mean, so I've got the other buddy coordinators that I can ask questions of if I'm stuck, or if there's something on one of the request forms that jumps out at me, and it does, that they're not very detailed forms, but that you can sometimes, something would jump out and I just think that's not quite right. That doesn't feel like that person can cope, either the buddy isn't quite right or the patient needs more than a buddy.
Okay.
Or if they email me and what they put in their email, and I just get an alarm bell and think, no, you're just going to want too much. And I've had people phone me as well asking about the buddy, and then they start going into what support they want, and you then find out that they've got many other issues. Mm-hmm. It's not just their MPN that they want to deal with, and that isn't what the buddies are there for. The buddies are there just to help and support with the MPN. They can't deal with all the other issues of another illness or other medication or something going on in the family. So, it's a bit of a commitment. You do need more than one person, but it is a couple of hours a week at least.
Okay, so I can understand the couple hours as far as an ongoing effort, but what about the initial? That's got to take weeks?
I wasn't there right at the beginning. John, you were there to set it all up at the beginning, weren't you? So maybe John can answer that better than I can.
Please switch off your mic.
That's a really good question, Dave. From what I remember, it started very small. It's like a lot of these things that we did. We didn't really know whether it was going to take off that much or not. And I think we just kind of announced it at one of the forums, and we said, this is an idea we've had. And to be honest, it didn't come just out of the blue to us. We were aware of similar kind of systems in other diseases. And we sort of announced it, and we said, if anybody be interested in being a buddy, or they know somebody who would like a buddy. And so it was very, very kind of easy thing to get going. And I think then it became apparent when it did take off, okay, now we have to take this a bit more seriously. We have to have like a register, we have to have a system, we have to have a form, etc. But the actual initiation of it was very straightforward and quite easy.
One more question, Kyora.
Well, in Israel, in the Flute of Light, we also adopted this program this year. If you had a chance, you can see the poster we put it. We called it Circles, and I think if you heard Martin's presentation today, you heard about the woman, the 76-year-old patient with ET, that at the beginning refused to recognize her disease, and then after a few years, now she wants to help and support other patients. So this is like a circle. At the beginning, you are down, and then you can go up and become, and that's a name that I must thank my wife who chose the name. But I think we trained already 20 mentors or buddies, and now we are doing the next course. In 2 weeks, we'll have the second training for another 20. We do 2 days training with Guy Tavori, who was here, and he's doing the training for the buddies for 2 days. But I think the main challenge we have is I don't know what the reason is. Patients who are saying on the forums that they have issues and they are looking for support, but when we invite them to connect to a body, they kind of hold back and they are not accepting the suggestion to connect to somebody. So we see more patients on the forum saying that they need help and need support than patients who actually contact us when we make a call to connect to a body. Can you share if you see that also in your program, and if you do, how you overcome it?
Yeah, that is a very good question, and we do see that quite a lot, that somebody will ask to be put in touch with a buddy because they want help and support. They go through the whole process. I match them up with a buddy, and I always say to everybody, get in touch with your buddy when you are ready to. So I leave it to them. Some people will contact their buddy straight away. They will have one conversation or one email, and that's it. That's all they need. Some people will leave it weeks and even a couple of months before they contact their buddy. And I always tell the buddy, this person will be contacting you soon. Don't get in touch with them, leave it to them. And the buddy will come to me and say, Maz, Joe Bloggs still hasn't been in touch. You told me about them 3-4 weeks ago. Are they okay? And I just say, well, hold on, just wait, leave them. And I get them to leave it sort of maybe a month or 6 weeks. Then I will get back in touch with that person and just say, are you okay? What about getting in touch with your buddy? Is there anything I can do to help? Are you worried about it? And very often they'll just say, well, no, I don't want to talk to them now. I just want to know that they're there if I do need to talk to them. So it's very much leaving it up to the patient to decide when they want to. They know that buddy is there for them, but when they get in contact, they've got to get to that point themselves. They've got to do that initial contact themselves and then carry it through.
Thank you very much, Mace, once more again. We have a big slide, MPN Horizon 2019, Learn, Share, Grow. Would you share the guidelines with us? Yes. Could we put it maybe on the web page of the MPN Advocates I think it's a brilliant example what we could do, and we don't have to invent it once more. Yeah? And congratulations. Thank you.